Hello all, a warm welcome to today's session, how to build an enriching career. We'll be starting in next 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay, I think we'll start in next 1 minute, more or less. Is my audio and video okay? Please type in the chat box. Give me a thumbs up, yes, or if you are able to hear me properly. If you have any, hope you don't have any network issues with my audio and video. Hello, let's start. Hello everyone. Thanks for taking time on a weekend. That was Saturday around 2 o'clock India time. This is Naveen Indrapu. I'm a professional engineering leader working for various organizations for the last 17 years. Passionate about teaching, coaching people, mentoring. More than that, I'm passionate about technology. I think this is the first session of me doing outside of my organizations in general. But before I wanted to do any technical sessions, I thought of first get this at the basics. What does a career mean? How to build a career? How to build enriching career? The basic stuff, right? I think there was overwhelming response from every one of you. So I think let's get started. First 20 to 30 minutes, we'll walk through some of the sessions, topics which were more interesting for most of the folks who submitted the pre-survey. And then at the end, we'll take any questions from chat and we'll take some examples always. So it will be more interactive, but first few slides are for giving basic understanding about what does enriching career mean, what are the different steps involved in that, overall, how to approach a career, either it's a fresher or an early starter or a mid-career professional, what are the blockers they usually face throughout their career. I think we'll be talking about those things at a great length. So let's start, right? Yeah. So the audience, I'm expecting this one primarily are engineering students who are about to complete their education, trying to move towards professional software industry. It could be engineers, it can be non-engineers. It doesn't matter. This is not specific to software engineers as such. It is any career in general. What are the different things involved to build an enriching career altogether, right? Then there are freshers whom I'm targeting primarily to give information around how to approach jobs, how to prepare for interviews, and what companies to look into in the first place, how do we look into it, all those things we'll talk about it. And then of course software professionals from 1 year to 10 plus years, 15 years, 20 years. I think these fundamentals doesn't change even if the experience is too high or too low, they still remain the same. So background, right? I think the reason why I want to do this in the first place, right? I think I've been mentioning about in the LinkedIn, right? There have been constantly a lot of parents or a lot of friends who are experienced, as well as a lot of college graduates who are reaching out to me. Oh, which company to go, which job to apply. which path is right kind of thing. They're more talking to me around, oh, does this company good because everybody is going towards that? Oh, does this software engineering is the only option? Is there any other role kind of thing? They are more focusing, confused kind of thing, right? So background is this one, right? Most of the professionals, either early starters, mid starters, or freshers, don't know how to make their job decisions that lead to satisfaction, I think, right? And it doesn't mean that everyone, most of the people whom I know are, in general, this is what my observation altogether. So most of youngsters and their parents, to be specific, right, during start of career, they look for things that they're proud to talk in their personal meetings or in their groups, communities, with their relatives, which are which look good on resume. So they focus on, okay, if I talk about a given job or role, what will others think about it? Will they think proud about my son as well as my daughter or my kids as well as me or not? But they don't think beyond those things, right? I think the primary purpose of this is look beyond those things is the primary aspect, whether it's starters or early careers or mid careers, right? I think that's a background which I think what does career enriching mean, how to set the career altogether, right? So next one, right? I think the title of the session is what does enriching career mean to you, how to build it. And enriching career has its own context and persona, as well as depending on person to person, it changes altogether, right? So while an enriching career for me could be a different set of company, different set of salary, different set of altogether working group, it could be different to you as well, right? So primary thing is you as an individual has to think through what does it mean to you in specific, right? So it needs a good thought process altogether. I think we'll talk about some of the ideas or high-level frameworks, plus what the pillars to consider while thinking these throughout the journey altogether, right? Overall. So mostly it is a combination of multiple aspects, neither salary, nor a company, nor a group of people, or nor a personal life, work-life balance. It doesn't matter. It's a multiple things which varies from person to person, as well as the order could vary altogether, right? So we'll talk about those things, but it will change from each person to person. So I would request, in general, start thinking about these things as you listen, right? Okay, what does industry career mean to me? Let's say I'm a fresher. Okay, what does it mean to start in which company? What kind of company should I start? What kind of role should I start? I will be happy or not? All those things, right? So in general, you need to think deeply, not just at a high level. Okay, let me land a job which gives me 1+ lakh per month. No, that doesn't help you much, because it might give you a kickstart job, but later again you'll come back saying that, okay, what am I doing in this job? What's the purpose? You'll again revisit those things. So at any stage, think deeply what you want, what are your values in the first place, or what matters most to you in your career as well as in personal life. I think those should be pillars for thinking, to start the thinking in the first place. Some of the examples I can give you is, okay, what makes you most happy? Think about that. Okay, what makes me most happy? If I go to office or if I do any job outside or any work, I'll be happy or not. Think that first, right? What makes me happy? Plus, at the same time, what does frustrate me in the first place? All those things you need to think it. So you need to go towards happiness, try to avoid frustration, right? Overall, I think that's what overall happy and enriching career means. But these two are very high level pillars, buckets kind of thing to think through. So let's say in general, this while doing this process, right, overall at the end of this session, or when you go after this session, go back, think through it, I would request all of you to think and come up with a statement like something like below, right? And these statements will vary from few years onwards, right? It can, these kind of statements can be changing on a need basis every year, every few years kind of thing, based on your situation, based on your context, surroundings, plus where you want to go at that moment, all those things, right? At least this is what I thought when I moved around few years back to new organization, right? As a part of this one, I want to work for a company where my contributions are valued, plus have an opportunity to build world-class engineering teams, coach them, mentor them, at the same time learn from them, right? Not only just teach or mentor, at the same time learn from every individual. Even if they are 1 year experience freshers, they have something new which I can learn. That's what the attention, right? Then towards the career aspirations, and able to learn from them and have good work-life balance, flexibility. It's not that, okay, I'm joining a great company, I should work 24/7 or throughout weekends. No, right? I need to balance this both, right? And balancing is specific to individuals again, right? And At the same time, have a good visible career path for next 5 years. I think this 5 years could be 2 years for freshers, 3 years, but at least I thought, okay, if I'm joining company, let me stay there for next 5 years where I have this one. That's the minimum thing. After that, once I get more visibility, I may stay there more. But that's the at least initial statement which I thought. And have a great team to work and a great manager, right? Team and manager both are important when you're deciding, right? Because team is day-to-day activities, you'll work with them. If the team is not great, you'll not be happy, right? At the same time, if the manager who is your mentor on day-to-day work or on the ground, or who will provide you all the navigation path, who should be challenging you, at the same time they should be providing candid feedback. They should, if you are doing something right, appreciate. If you are not doing in the right way, they should guide you, and there should be candid feedback saying that, okay, these are the areas where you are need to improve it. And a lot of places people don't try to talk about candid feedback, but think about those things. Are you ready to listen the candid feedback or not? Improvements as well as positive things both. And who can support and mentor me proactively on a regular basis, right? Every engineer or every developer or every professional needs a mentor, whether they're at which level of experience, doesn't matter. So your manager can be a mentor. So think that way. I think this is a statement which I thought at that moment. I think this really helped me to figure out which companies to apply, what kind of teams to work, what kind of questions to ask during the interviews, all those things. We'll talk about those things, right? So during this process, right, as I was saying at starting, what are the different pillars, framework level, high level we need to consider, right? This is for which companies to apply, what kind of work I want to do it, what kind of balance I want to have it, all those things, I think, right? Uh, so think about, get into four contributions, right? Four pillars. One is, what are your contributions and impact that you want to contribute for a given company or for a given society or for a given environment? Think about those things, right? What kind of work will you enjoy in the first place? Whether you will enjoy a work which is customer facing, whether will you enjoy work which is just sitting at the desk and writing the code independently without talking to a lot of folks? What kind of work will you will enjoy, rewarding you for that, right? That's, I think, it has more points. We'll talk about that. But in general, the second thing is, okay, what does your expertise altogether at the moment? What is your key expertise, right? Let's say if it's a fresher, right, they might have expertise on basics of programming languages, basics of data structures, right? At the same time, they may be very good at communication skills, right? At the same time, they may be very good at team player. Maybe they would have worked on a lot of symposiums, technical symposiums, as well as college level games. They would have organized a lot of things, so their leadership skills are there. So think about your key strengths, expertises, skills you have, plus what skills you want to achieve by joining an organization, by taking next level of career or starting your career, right? So let's say, I'll give an example, right? When I wanted to move after 10 years of experience, right, I was more or less writing code, leading teams. Then I thought, okay, I'm doing this great, but there are some things which I need to improve, right? While I have these skills, get these skills as base, and I need to improve to go to next level. Then I thought, okay, let me pick some companies where I get more exposure to talk to clients altogether, instead of backend sitting as an engineering manager kind of thing, where I can get exposure to clients, understand their personas, their attitudes, their overall concerns, what they are. So to build those things, that's the way I shifted from several companies, moved into product companies, from product companies moved into altogether organizations which are very big product companies, internally as well externally. So it plays a lot of things. So think about those things, right? Then the other important thing is, whether you're working for a startup, whether you're working for a big organization, service-based company, product-based company, key thing is, what does the company values are, right? Those values, does they match or resonate with you or not? Think about it, right? And culture at the same time, right? Every company provides or updates their website with their company's culture, values, what they're good at, what their mission statement, vision statement is. That go through them, see if that resonates with you, whether you want to work for such kind of companies or companies, all these things. Think about it, right? At the same time, you need to feel belonging to that workplace altogether, right? When you are joining a team or a big organization or a big small team, you should feel that, okay, I belong to this team, they involve me. When I go to work, I want to go work every day once I wake up. That kind of belongingness should be there, right? It should not be that, oh, why should I go to office? Oh, the culture is not good. Think about the culture and values, right? Plus, what level of autonomy you are given. I think these are 2 or 3 examples which I gave. I think there are a lot of other things you need to think through it, right? At the same time, does the colleagues value each other or not? How does the manager treat the employees? How does employees treat the managers? How is leadership treating everyone altogether, right? And is the authority is the openness culture is there where people can talk very openly, candidly to give the feedback to each other, or there's a very hierarchy level thing is there? Think about those things. How does they resonate to you is a key thing which you need to think, right? Then the other thing is compensation benefits. I think this is the one which everybody is working for, right? I think pay, salary, monetary benefits, non-monetary benefits. Monetary benefits are, we know, right? Salary, packages, all those things, bonus, whatever it is. So are they fitting to your capabilities and your strengths or skills? Are you underselling yourself? Think about those things, right? Don't be in rush to undersell yourself for any reason. Of course, unless there is hard pressing reason where you need a job for urgency, that's fine. But think about those things, right? At the same time, non-monetary benefits like how does the leave policy are there, what kind of career benefits they are providing to you, insurance kind of thing. There are a lot of things, right? I think about those things. How do they help you as individual? Some companies provide higher education policies as well, right? If someone wants to go to MBA or MTech, right? Some companies sponsor them after spending few years in the organization. Of course, they have some bond, all the things. Then once you come back, you need to work for them. But it's a good investment already, right? You don't need to spend lakhs and lakhs of rupees to do your higher studies. Think about those things as well, right? So for which you need to think about things, you need to know what you want to be, right? Where you want to go, how you want to do it, all that, right? At the same time, flexible benefits. What does flexible benefits mean, right? Is a work culture, is a working hours are very fixed or not? How is the working hours? How are they? Plus, at the same time, do you need to do work shifts, late night shifts versus midday shifts? Does it in line with your personal life, all those things? Let's say if you want to go and ask your manager, I need 1 week leave. Will they be comfortably giving you? Or you're always rejected kind of thing, right? So, I mean, at the same time, policies, how many leaves are there? Not only leaves, right? Flexible benefits are, okay, during the pandemic, we know everyone moved to office to home, right? Now, every company is asking employees and their teams to come back to organizations, right? Company back. So, are you getting some that flexibility where you need to work whenever you want it on need basis? Are you getting support or not? I think these things are important. I would say think about those things, right? And we'll talk about how do you get these all these things when you look for job. We'll do deep dive all those things. So we spoke a lot of things, right? What to look for, what's your statement should look like, all those things, right? But none of this doesn't come unless you have a goal or a mission, right? So what the goals are important. They play a very key role in anyone's success, right? As someone who is running without goal, he doesn't know where he is going. Let's say if there is a ship which is there in the harbor, there is no pilot, there is no captain in that, and there is no goal set up. Where does it go? Probably it will just land somewhere in the middle of the ocean, or it might be crashed. It might be sink into the sea, right? Similarly, for every professional or personal, their goals are important, right? The goals could be very small goals, which you want to achieve in next 1 week, 1 month. It can be long-term goals, 5 years, 10 years, right? So let's say someone who is starting their career, right? What kind of goals they can have, right? Okay, let's say I'm starting as a software engineer in the IT industry. In next 10 years, I want to move to a director of engineering position in a given organization so that I can lead bigger portfolios, build products for engineers, or build products for users who want to use it, who doesn't understand technology, all those things, right? Those can be there. So how do you break down that big goal into smaller goals? So next 1 year, where do I want to go? I want to get promotion next 2 years, but for that, what kind of goals I need to have for learning skills? All those things I need to think through, right? So everybody should have, what do you want to achieve in next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, certain cases 20 years, but 20 years is too long. You need to break down into smaller chunks as we discussed, and have those things for planning also. We'll talk about that. And again, lot of individuals, folks does, okay, one of my friend is having this goal to do MBA certification, let me do it. Or one of my friend is going for data science certification, let me do it. I want to become data scientist, which is good. As having that aspiration is good, but is that resonate with you or not? Don't just follow others or what your other fellow engineers or friends say. You think through it, whether is that your real goal. If that's the goal, what do you want to achieve after that, right? Think about those things. So each individual, based on their personal professional situation, should have different goals which are meaningful to them, right? Not just following the group or trends. Of course, trends will give you some signals where you need to think through. Okay, should I go versus cloud versus security versus full stack versus 5G technology versus other things, right? Once you have the bigger picture, now drill down lower level, right? Then think about, okay, if security, am I really interested in security or not? When I talk to others, does security passionate me or not? Okay, when I talk about cloud, right? So cloud looks like very booming technology. People are talking about cloud. There is a lot of jobs are there. People, I mean, there are a lot of payment. I mean, salaries are high there. Can I go there? Right? Then cloud also there are a lot of different roles, right? Does cloud inspire you or not? When you go to cloud, can you write the code or can you understand the patterns? All that, does it make sense to you or not? Or we want to be developer? Or you want to be a different role or whatever? Think about those things. Accordingly, have those goals, right? Yeah, I think given goals are important, how do you set the goals, right? I think, I mean, in general, everybody most probably would have set goals from their childhood level onwards when they were going towards next year, college, 10th class onwards, post graduation, or this, right? But once we complete that, usually we forget setting goals because till 10th class there are exams to pass, board exams. That's a goal for us, right? Achieving top rank in 10th, then achieving IIT in after intermediate. So you have that goal because it's mandatory for you to be successful there. But once you land in a job, those goals will dilute. You'll not focus on much, right? But have that consistency of keeping those things in the back of the mind to think through it and have those goals which are important. So how do you set goals? Right? There are a lot of frameworks, but this is one of the framework which I have been using for a good while, and most of the organizations use this framework to set their company level OKRs and goals, which is well proven. It takes a lot of time and it doesn't come so easy, right? And setting goals is again a work, and you need to do work to set the goals. If you're not doing that, it will not help, right? Again, but if you once you do the goal setup clearly by spending good amount of time, it helps to fast track your goal at a much faster pace. Otherwise, you'll be going in multiple directions and then figure out, oh, what did I do? I went in this one direction, second direction. Now I should come back. So you would have wasted multiple months or years, certain cases, without having that clarity. So that isn't set the specific goals. Smart, I think it's a lot of frameworks. I mean, a lot of details are available in Google as well. You can search, but here are the examples. Specific, it should be specific, right? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to achieve? You want to, it's not a generic, it should be specific, right? I think I gave one of the example in LinkedIn where I wanted to achieve a professional certificate on AWS, right? Similarly, now I'm having a goal where I want to achieve expertise in leading teams plus mentoring them. Probably that could be one goal, right? Then it should be measurable, right? When I say measurable, whether you are successfully going towards that every now and then, every week, how are you progressing? Every month, how are you progressing? It should be measurable. Without measurable, you may think that I'm working, but then there is no result. It doesn't help you altogether in general, right? So it should be achievable as well. So what does achievable mean, right? You let's say if someone starting their career, they can say that I want to be CEO of a big organization, let's say Tesla or something, right? Or build such kind of organization in next 2 years. Is it achievable in next 2 years? Probably yes and no. But have that clarity. If you think that's not achievable in the time period, then break that bigger goal into smaller goals and achieve those things and move on. So the goal should not be again which are not achievable. Then it will demotivate. You'll come back. So break that into smaller chunks where you can achieve those things and tick those things, move forward. They should be relevant, right? And what is your overall relevant is you should not go and say, okay, I want to achieve, get expertise on product management, get expertise in software engineering, get expertise in testing. But those are relevant to software engineering. But what is relevant for you for next 2 years? Let's say if you're a software developer. Let's say if you are a engineering manager, what is that most relevant for you for next few years, 2 years, right? Think about those things. If you're in security industry, what you need to learn that could be relevant for that industry altogether. Again, it should be time bound. Otherwise, without time bound, you never know at what point it will land, what's the impact, all those things you never help, right? So have the goals first, write down those things. I think take a pen and paper, write down those things, and first version, second version, third version, fourth version will not be right? So revisit every day. So that is it right? Does it make sense? Can you go and explain your friend your goal in 1 minute without even explaining further? And can he give a feedback? If you need to explain the goal itself for next 5 minutes, that means it's not specific and it's not a smart goal altogether. I think that's the checklist usually I'll apply. Then let's say once you have smart goal set up, how do you move forward, right? Create a plan of action, right? Okay, how do you do the plan of action, right? In the goal itself, will have, okay, I want to do this by so and so, by doing XYZ items, and complete by so and so date. You have that in the goal, right? Then to achieve that goal, bigger one, okay, every week, what you need to supposed to do, have that rating, or every month, based on the goal duration, either week or month, and have the every month, what are the different tasks you want to do it, plus have those timelines around that, right? That's the action plan, and how much time you're allocating for each of those things. Write down those things. So there are a lot of templates available. Really, the way I follow is for every goal, write 3 tasks, and each task, am I doing those every day, or every week, or every month? Every time I'll tick box out, and then I'll see whether how much percentage did I achieve. I mean, did it or not? If not, course corrected those things, right? That kind of tracking plan should be there. Then, of course, take action and execute your plan. For this, overall goal setting plus action and executing everything needs consistency, right? Nothing will come very easily. I think everybody knows that. If someone has come to completed their engineering or joined an organization at a given position, if you're already there, that means you have achieved those things with hard work, planning, and consistency, right? I think consistency is always makes everyone successful, right? If it's not done consistently, it will take long, plus there can be a frustration as well, might turn out. So I think we spoke about this, right? I think that's the goals. We spoke about these things, all those things, right? But in general, okay, goals are fine, right? I think a lot of other friends were asking about, one of the topic was around skill development. Can I build skills on security? Can I build skills on machine learning? I think people are more focusing on functional technology as well as functional knowledge, right? I think fundamentally, more than those things, there are few essential skills, whomsoever it is, right? Whether it's CEO, CFO, or a fresher, or a tester, doesn't matter. There are few skills which are essential for anyone to be successful. I think I wanted to just talk about those things so that it gives a set base for talking about essential skills plus skill development altogether, right? I think I'll pause here. Any questions from anyone on goals in general? Please type at the chat in the chat. Any further clarity anyone wants to have? Okay. Okay, we'll see if anyone has questions. Yeah. Okay. So the next one. So what are the essential skills in general, right, for any industry to be successful as a part of growing in the career? What are the essential skills, right? So these are essential skills, right? I think these being mentioned when someone is preparing for interviews at your engineering first year, second year onwards, or nowadays for kids, we are as a parents as well as schools saying that improve your community skills, be good at your problem solving, be good at your management activities, your own activities also, right? I think these are key essential skills which I believe at any point of the life as well as professional life, everybody should possess and should always try to improve those things. Where you stand there, don't stagnate that, or don't, if you don't use those things, they will be deteriorated. Start improving those things, right? Like communication, right? Without communication, nothing can be achieved in personal as well as professional, right? Plus problem solving skills. If you are a good problem solver, then the demand is more for you, right? A problem solver could be, are you a good designer in the first place, UX designer? You're solving a problem for UX. Are you a good coder? You're solving coding problems. Are you good at looking at the data, getting the insights around that, right? I think it comes as a critical thing as problem solving, right? So if a problem is given to you, how effectively are you solving it? Or will you say, okay, I don't want to solve these problems, kind of thing. So those are important, right? And then critical thinking is one of the other thing where always people has to think, right, in professional life, because situations will change, environment is dynamic, people are dynamic overall. So given this, how is the critical thinking altogether? How are you working with other people? All those things will come to the picture, right? So can you think critically think about a given situation, a problem, and come out of that, propose some solutions or suggest some guidelines? Those things are important. And on top of that, moreover, it's time management is one of the key things which is important, right? Everybody wants to do everything, but time is fixed for everyone, right? Including whether he's a CEO, whether it's the Prime Minister of India, or whether it's an individual who is professional, time is fixed, right? How are you managing your time effectively to do the tasks is more important, right? So prioritize your important items, what you want to do, have a list of priority for today, what is important every day in the morning or before going to bed, right? Next day, what you want to do, top 3 items or top 4 items. So anything which is not important can wait, right? Usually we do reverse. Usually a lot of people do spend 80% of time on 20% activities which are not helping much in their career or profession, right? But it should be reverse. Spend your 80% of energy on 20% of tasks which provides you more boost, either in your happiness, in your personal life, or in professional life, learning anything, right? I think that's the way you need to spend it. How do you do that? By writing those things. If you don't have clarity on what task you want to do it on a given day, what priority of items you want to do on a given day, you'll always shuffle these things, you'll ad hocly take it. It doesn't help you, right? And block your times wherever you want to do those things, right? So manage your time very effectively by prioritizing required amount of work as well as tasks, either personal, professional growth, doesn't matter. So everything need to be prioritized, right? Then the other important thing, which is key, is teamwork. A person can be exceptionally good in coding, exceptionally good in designs, exceptionally good in his core area. But if he can't work with the team together, he can't succeed, he can't become successful. At the same time, he can't enable his team to successful, right? Because in the world, nothing can be done with individual, right? At home also, you can't be doing everything by your own, right? Even at home, it's a teamwork within the family. Same time, when you go to work, it is a teamwork between developers or your manager, leadership, or the project management teams, or developers, testers, all together. If an individual can't work effectively with the team, then definitely it will slow down the success. Plus, it will not help anyone as such. So team working skills are more important. Then organization skills, how are you organizing your work, prioritizations, plus how are you talking to other people, how are you organizing your own schedules, plus how are you organizing your priorities, those are important. The other important thing which I thought of putting here, keeping here, was research skills, right? Everything is research for us, right? Unless we know something, it's a research. Till the time I don't know a given topic, I need to do research. Once I know this, I can learn easily, but even to deep dive those things, it's a research for everyone, right? So research is not research which scientist does. They do research on to innovate something, right? To get something out of nothing, innovate something, right? But even everyone does research how to do something, how to learn something. Oh, today I want to prepare something. Let's say I want to drive to somewhere, for example, right? I need to research what are the different paths which are available, right? What is the efficient way of going there? And at the same time, if I'm planning some outing, I need to research whether will there be rain on the day also. So everything is research. So having research skills are more important for professionals because it helps you job, finding right teams, finding right knowledge, finding right skills altogether. That helps you, right? And the last one, I think, leadership skills. While leadership skills are not required for every role at every level, but everybody is a leader in their area, right? You may be leading your own work, you may be leading one person, but having those leadership skills, how to lead others, how to work with others, how to take others with you, will always help every individual to go to next level altogether. Yeah, 1 second. Any questions? Any thoughts from anyone? Anyone wants to share any questions if they have? Okay, looks like no questions. That's good. Okay. Okay. So I think the presentation, more or less, I'm done with the presentation. I'll now go to different scenarios which a lot of friends were asking during when they're filling the pre-survey form. Okay. So the top three concerns or challenges which I heard during the pre-survey session was submit was people want to understand how to do skill development. Second thing is how to grow in a given ladder or a given role, how to grow from the current role to next role or to further roles. The third thing is interview preparation, right? I think we'll talk about these three things, right? Uh, so first, how to build skills, right? Career skills. What are the different skills you need to build? I think we spoke about skills around general skills like communication skills, other things. But when it comes to, let's say for a software engineer, or for, let's say for example, a software tester, right, who wants to move to software engineering altogether, he would have spent 5 years, 6 years in software testing. Now he wants to move to different technology or software engineering, or at the same time he wants to upskill himself to go to next level in software testing. How can they approach in the first place, right? First of all, see what skills you possess at that moment, and go and search in the job portals or Google, saying that what are the different roles for given 6 years experience. If you're at 5 years experience, in next 5 years or next 2 years, where what kind of skills that your role expects, right? Let's say, for example, as a software engineer, when I was at 8 years of or 7 years of experience, I wanted to move to architect positions during that period, right? I was a tech lead at the moment. I want to move to architect position. So how do I build the skills which are required to go to architect level? Here is the way I approached. I went researched. Okay, what does architects do? What is the role of architect in the first place? I think we know that every day because architects and developers and leads work together, right? But go and search. Okay, how does architects work? What kind of skills they possess? What kind of expertise they need? What kind of role they play? What kind of work they play? That's available usually everywhere or in companies. Then write down those things. Get the summary from there. Extract from there, right? Let's say architect has to design architecture, high-level architecture, low-level architecture. He has to be expert in design patterns, for example, right? He has to think through about scalability requirements. Of course, developers think through it, but the level at which architect has to think is different. He has to be good at integration patterns, for example, right? And he has to be good at technology agnostic, putting up the architecture in a way where leadership can understand, team can understand. So get those skills, understand those skills which are required for the next level. Then go and come back and say that how many of these skills do you already possess, or how much of you possess already. Put that into buckets, right? Usually I put into 3 buckets. One is skills which I am expert at, one bucket, which is left bucket, which is right bucket, to be more or less. Then the skills which I know, but I know that I need to improve this so that I'm expert. Those are skills which more or less I worked for here and there, few things, all those things. Or I know those things to a certain extent, where I would have worked with some folks, all those things. The skills which I'm not even aware of those things, they are new. Someone would have told me during my discussions or during any sessions, I got to know that those keywords, or when I was reading a blog or a book, those came, I'll put into unknown area. So unknown area, known area, and expertise area. Then always try to move these from left to right, left to right. But I never try to move all the things from the first left which are unknown to immediately this one, right? The once I have those full list, and those list will change every 6 months or every year, right? Based on where you want to go. I'll say, okay, what is my goal in next 1 year or 2 years? For that goal, do I have the skills which are required? And those skills, which bucket they are? Are they in the bucket of known, and are they in the bucket of unknown? And then estimate how much time can it take to get this bucket to move to next bucket, whether it's any bucket, right? Accordingly, I'll plan it, right? Otherwise, what happens is, if you try to learn everything, if you don't use it in next near short term, either next 1 year or 6 months, you'll forget. Everybody forgets, right? Memory is very limited. I mean, memory is unlimited, but if you don't use it thoroughly, you'll forget. That's a human nature, right? So always try to get skills and practice, right? I keep on doing practicing. So the way I learned Node.js long back was doing POCs, explorations, and that it's the terminology is different. Till at that moment, I was working PL SQL, Java, C++, C, then Node.js, asynchronous mechanism, IO processing, all those things. So think and deep dive into that is primary aspect. And again, there should be goal. If you do this, if you learn this technology, what is the advantage for you? Why are you learning in the first place? If this is not clear, after a few months, you lose the interest and you'll stop that for sure, right? I think having those important, right? So we discussed about getting those 3 buckets, then moving from one bucket to other bucket, and then always go to the basics, ground rule, right? So if you're any language you're learning, more or less all languages can be learned easily, as long as you have strong fundamentals behind the scene, the paradigms of programming. If you understand it, right, everything is, you can always shift from one language to other language. If the fundamentals are not right in anything, right, if someone's English is not right, they can't do much higher versions, right? Like they can't write good articles, they can't write good emails, they'll not be able to speak efficiently, fluently, communicate efficiently. Similarly, when it comes to software engineering or anything, set up your basics strong at whatever layer you are. If you are picking new technology, don't just go and scrap at a high level. While doing at high level is important first, but try to deep dive into basics. From basics, try to come to higher level, right? So let's say if someone wants to learn cloud technology, don't just jump into cloud, either AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure, right? First, understand what's the purpose of cloud in the first place. What cloud is solving you in the first place? Why people are behind the cloud these days? Why so much fuss about cloud? So much of trend about cloud? What problems they're solving? What advantages it has? What roles it has? And if cloud is not there, what are the challenges people used to face it? And with the cloud also there are challenges, right? Understand those things, right? Then deep dive into one by one kind of thing, right? I think that pattern structure will always help to move forward, and it will give you insights in that, okay, you're moving first. Then once you start that, read as much as you can, right? Don't, I mean, a lot of people want a lot of people try to go towards Coursera, YouTube, Udemy. Yes, doing those things are awesome, right? Learning from videos, learning from experts are awesome. But when you listen, you'll get some 5-10%. But when you come and back and take notes and read those things, read some blogs, articles, books, practice them, the knowledge stays with you for long and you get more experience, right? So you need to read a lot of books around that and then experiment. So let's say if you're running let's say if someone is learning machine learning, for example, right? I think this is one of the question which one of the friend asked. How can I improve machine learning skills? I'm doing a lot of practice, but it's not improving much. I'm not getting jobs, right? If you're learning machine learning, you go to the theory, basic, all those things, apply the knowledge on a project. Need not be an official project in your company. It can be outside also, right? There are a lot of websites which provide free projects or crowdsourced projects, and GitHub is one of the very great example where you can find any kind of projects for every kind of language. You can go and check it, right? At the same time, there are specific for machine learning projects. Machine learning again are 2 levels, right? One is data science, other thing is algorithm writing code. If someone is interested on data science, get the data. There are a lot of free data which is available from government, agencies, institutes. Get data, raw data, and analyze that and try to learn from there. And there are challenges also these days. I mean, there are online challenges, participate in those things, right? So all these things will come under the experimentation, practice, right? The way as a kids we used to practice everything, it has to be practice as a kid even now also, right? As the experience grows, maybe the time you spend in learning might reduce because your rational understanding, your consumption capacity, your overall grasping capacity is more, but just don't glance through it, right? Glancing through is different versus learning is different. Becoming expert is different altogether, right? So I think then there are cases where you can find a mentor or a coach who are expert in that area. Let's say, for example, you want to learn something around full stack development. Let's say till today you're a backend developer altogether. You have been working on backend, database side, Oracle, MySQL, doesn't matter, right? Now you want to go to full stack development, API development, UI development, as well as backend development. You want to do full stack of application development, right? Then find out who are the good people who are having decent experience within your teams or within your adjacent teams to get experience. Because if you find such people whom you meet every day, you can ask questions, you can take the guidance from them. and tell them that, okay, hey, I'm looking for learning these things. How do you approach? After doing your analysis and research, go and talk to them. So find a coach or mentor who can guide you and navigate the path. Having such kind of mentor and coach will help you not to do the same mistakes which other people have done it. It will just give you a mileage of at least 2x or 3x. Certain cases, certain people get 10x. If there's a very critical subject which needs a lot of practice, other things, and it only comes to practice, then expert and mentor will give you a lot of advice and guidance, right? So it has all benefits. So there are programs which a lot of people take around mentorship programs on software industry as well as non-software technical skills as well, right? Find out those things, right? So I think this is the way you need to go through skill development altogether in general, right? I think it's not easy. It's not easy, and nothing is easy, right? And there is no silver bullet for anything as such, right? So always have your goal, what you want to do it, why you are learning, and where your current skills and the skills what you need to learn, where do they fit in? Do you have support from others whom you can ask it when you're stuck? Otherwise, if you don't ask their support, when you're stuck, if you don't find answer, you will attempt one time, second time, third time, but after third or fourth attempt, you'll stop it, and the purpose itself is not solved, right? So find out a person who can help also, right? So combination of these things. I think I'm giving a very high level understanding. If anyone has any specific question how to tackle anything, please drop a question in the chat. We can deep dive and discuss. Okay. Okay. I think the other important question which a lot of folks, friends are asking is, hey, I have been working with a company for last 10 years. I'm there in the same role for last 10 years. I don't know how to upskill myself because I'm outdated these days. How to upskill, right? Or I'm very afraid if I move to different technology, will I be able to pick up or not? Those things, right? So even in those cases, the rule applies same, right? Again, there also figure out how can you learn from the job at your place and try to match the skills where you want to go. The approach doesn't change for fresher or this experienced person, right? Only thing is it's mind shift. You need to have a positive mindset where I need to learn this, and this is my goal. Why I'm learning it, and have a planning all those things what we discussed, and have someone who can help you. It will always move forward, right? Okay, we are at 250. Good. Okay. So in general, I think we spoke about skill development. Okay, how to effectively manage the team. Okay, I think yeah, I think we can talk about it. Give me a minute. I'm in a situation working from 12 years. Okay, I think if required, we can deep dive on the specific questions or anything. 12 years continuing. So I think since we are talking about skill development, let's talk about little deep dive on the situation of how can an experienced senior person who has already potential skills working on 10 plus years or 8 years, doesn't matter, in the same role, how can they move from that? When I say move from that, it doesn't mean that job change altogether, right? How can you come out of that mentality or attitude where I'm not learning altogether? There is no learning curve. My learning curve is stagnated. So initially the way learning curve will be, if you say x-axis is the time, y-axis is your learning overall points or learning enthusiasm. In starting the career till 5-6 years, it will be more or less constant peak. At times it will be exponential kind of thing. Then as 7-8 years, 8 years starts in the same role, it will start stagnate and deteriorate, right? So during those period, what to do it, right? So always try to see in your area of expertise. If you're working on any technology, any domain, doesn't matter, right? Knowledge need not be technical. Skills need not be technical. Skills, as the experience grows, more than technical skills, domain skills are important. I think a lot of folks, a lot of friends forget the domain expertise, what they possess altogether. There are friends who are asking from telecom domain, right? They're saying that, hey, Naveen, I'm working for last 15 years on telecom domain. Now, how can I move to cloud? How can I move to security? So I was talking to them saying that, why are you just ignoring your telecom domain altogether? And that's the domain which you're expert. As the experience grows, more than technical skills, execution skills, these domain skills should be helping you to move to next level. All those things, right? Those need to be checked, right? So think about what kind of domain knowledge you have, what kind of skills you have. You may be having leadership skills, management skills, that's fine. But if you're strongly looking for building any technical skills, write down those things. What are your gaps? How to identify gaps? Check your peers who are not in your team, outside of your team, or outside of your company. What kind of work they are doing, what kind of technology they are working on, what kind of innovation technology they are working on, what kind of fast-paced work they are doing. One way of checking it. First, get the technologies, what they are working on it. Then check about your manager and one more level, right? So always have ambitions or learn skills which your skip level manager has it. That's the way I usually check it, right? Check it. So if my skip level manager, if I need to take my skip level manager's position in some time, few years later, what skills should I possess? That will give a lot of skills which are not currently which an individual possesses, right? Then once you understand the skills, they're in the same bucket, right? Not known, known, expert bucket, right? Those things will come to the picture. So prioritize those things and take help from your managers. Within your company, your managers will be able to help you, to guide you. I think there's a role of a manager to guide a team, coach them, mentor them. One of the responsibility of the manager is that if manager is busy, your senior engineers or leads, I think more or less the key thing is as we grow experience, right? We are very apprehensive about asking people for help. Come out of that. Ask help. It's okay to ask. There are cases where every day I ask help in my company. There are engineers, leaders who ask help. Asking help is not an issue at all. Asking help need not be capability gap. If you don't ask help, you are missing something. Something doesn't know, it's okay. Not everybody is expert. So ask help, get that, and move on it. Right? So okay. Now if I look at a job in a company house, they ask a candidate have experience and patent prosecution draft, patent licensing and pricing problems that current doesn't help. Then patent prosecuting drafting, other company will hire me. Okay, so let's say if you're having a niche skill which you want to learn for a given organization, for example, let's say I think Gagan was asking about patenting and drafting, right? So if your current company doesn't provide you those options, how can you learn those outside of it, right? You have two options: whether you learn at work, everyone, right? Whether the current work provides an option, are there projects within the team? If not within the team, with other teams, or are there projects within the company or not? First, explore that. If there are such projects, talk to your manager, seek your leadership, asking them to talk to them. Can I work with them on a daily few hours basis? Of course, for that you need to spend some extra hours. It's okay. I think for learning to get, you need to spend extra hours. Agree that. First, get that agreement. Talk to the other managers or other teams. Hey, I want to work on this. I see you're already working on this. Can I work with you guys? That's one approach. The other approach is along with that or either of that, go and check outside. There are a lot of training institutes or coaching institutes or education portals which provide all of this. There could be career professional certifications or micro masters kind of thing, masters programs, or there could be weekend seminars will be there. Only thing is you need to explore it. Go and explore it. Once you have that ambition or eagerness to do it, explore it. Then find out. Some cases there will be free sessions, some cases you need to pay for it. First, attempt the free sessions, see are you progressing or not. And before going to the pay sessions, see if paying this much amount of money, what value does it add for you? And then accordingly move for it, right? So the way I did, I'll give an example, right? Probably that will give you clarification, the way I did it. So when I think 2016, 2015, when I was doing cloud certification, right? It was new, cloud is new, AWS was new, it was evolving at the moment, and Node.js also running, evolving at the moment. So my company was planned to go towards AWS. Company had plans to start the trainings. They were in discussion with AWS. At the same time, they were in discussion with AWS saying that we'll have the sessions, training sessions throughout year for individuals as well as teams constantly. But the plan was very long plan. It was supposed to start after. They realized, or should I start on my own? Right. The way I started is went to AWS portal, explored that. They provide some free sessions, took the guides, study materials, deep dive, then had the credit card, which is there is a free points were there, free allocation was there, used it. Of course, within the limits, I was trying to learn it. Of course, the pace at which I was learning slow, but it went on moving. By the time the session started, I was definitely at 50% completion compared to every other person. I was able to do much faster and learn grasp much faster, right? So there are ways, unless, only thing is figure out those ways or talk to some person who can help you. Okay. Once you have those things, certification kind of thing, other companies will always look forward to get it, right? So yeah, it's a learning place, all those things. And again, if this is not very clear, I think you can please ping me into one-on-one. We can talk about it. But I think that's what I would say in general, how to approach. I think, okay, there was a question from Kiran about how to effectively manage the team, right? I think we'll take one more question on skill development and we'll move on to that. Skill development, team management. That's a specific topic which I want to talk. Remind me if I miss it. But yeah. So being consistent in problem solving, DSA is one of the challenges that I face. How can I improve on that? Okay, data structures algorithms, right? Okay. It is whether you're engineer or not, you're solving problems, right? Let's say as a child, when you're a 10th class intermediate, we used to solve problems around time, speed, velocity, right? Those things, or certain cases probability examples, certain cases trigonometry examples, right? So I'm trying to come to data structures in a minute, but problem solving is about an approach, right? And DSA's data structures algorithms have overall how do you solve the problem effectively. We'll talk about it, right? So it is practice. I would say it's practice. How many number of problems you are solving a month every day? If at all you're practicing it, right? So I'll give an example, right? I think for me, when I had my Google, when I was in Tesco, one of my director informed me saying that, hey Navin, you have great potential and skills. Why are you looking into all these companies? Why can't you attempt Google? I think that's the point where oh, okay, I missed it. I think I prepared a 2 years plan at that moment and started immediately after a week, every day practicing 10 problems for sure. Every day practicing 10 problems in a book or in a paper, doesn't matter. Not just lead code or anything, right? You can get Google or anything. It's not just lead code or anything. In general, people practice consistency every day. How you're improving it, right? Basics. So get your basics strong. I would say first. When I say basic strong, for every problem you need to store data, solve it, and process data, right? There are two aspects. One is data storage, one is data processing. Data storage is data structures altogether, right? Where you're storing. Either it could be a simple variable or it is array of variables, integers. All those are data structures. You can say it is a hash map. It's a kind of data structure, right? All those things at the end store somewhere. But how you want to access, how you want to operate on the things will change. So those things plus algorithm is the way effectively you are operating those data from those data structures and getting the output, desired output, right? So it is get your those fundamentals strong and understand what are those fundamentals first, under what cases you'll use what data structures, under what cases which is right to use, get those things. I used to have cheat sheet, to be frank, and every problem can solve with every data structure, but some might be efficient, some might not be efficient, right? So usually people will try to go and jump into let me solve the right way only first. That is the problem where people will struggle a lot. Let's say if you're giving a problem which is very complex problem, which requires, let's say, graph problem, let's say, you need to navigate a path, right? Don't think just graph only, right? First think, if I don't know graph, how can I solve this? You may not solve it, but approach that problem. Once you approach, spend a lot of time, then you think, okay, how does people solve it? Graph, then think about it, what things you couldn't understand it. So try to get those basics and practice, write lines of code. Even if you learn new language at any time, practice makes everyone perfect, right? Man perfect. That's simple, right? And not only practice, consistency. If you miss for 1 month, you'll come back to 3 months back. As simple as that. So don't miss that frequency and consistency, right? I think those are important. Plus having your buddies or partners whom you can talk on a day-to-day basis or weekly basis, explain to other things, right? Anything which you do alone will take more time to remembering or to practice. But if you have people around you who talk the same terminology, same language, you'll be motivated, you'll talk the same language and each other exchange things and try to practice every day as if you're explaining to set of audiences when you're doing data structures, right? So that's more important. And if at all you're preparing for interviews, that's the most important thing, right? It's not about writing code. Writing code plus how you are able to convey the overall approach that you are taking at each line, and what approach you're taking, why you're taking, explaining to other person, and writing the code is important. So it's a combination of practice. I think if someone says there's something other thing, they're just lying, right? If anyone came to a top competition code, that means they would have practiced thousands and thousands of problems. And you need to understand the problems or patterns which you need to solve it. Always pick some problems, right? Okay, I need to solve arrays, then I need to solve linked lists, I need to solve graphs, I need to solve other things. Then while solving it, always put a lens where how am I doing on time complexity altogether? Is it too much? Is it too less? First, go with the brute force algorithms. Go with it, right? So, I mean, I think it's practice plus reading books as well as doing practice plus talking to other folks. I would suggest take a book or notepad, write the problem, start typing everything, or take a notebook and start writing it. If you copy paste that code, will it work or not? See, in interviews or in the code, even if some Google engineer or whomsoever, right, any top engineer, first code what they write will not go to production, right? It will go to iterations, right? But overall, in the first attempt, how much perfection you are able to write in the language which you choose, approach are more important. So focus on those things. Don't focus on just closing the number of things, right? First attempts, you might take more time to get the basics, all those things. But have a plan. Okay, data structures, where you stand. In the data structures, arrays, where you stand. Linked list, what is your confidence level? Or graphs, what is your confidence level? All the topics, put that in a spreadsheet, Excel, put your confidence levels, how many problems you solved it. Go deep dive into each subtopic. One by one, practice, talk to others who can help you to navigate. Plus, there are books which can give you guidance. Getting books doesn't help you if you don't practice. Hope that helps you, Hemant. But yeah, that's the way. Whenever we started learning new things, how to keep continuing focus on it, and how to measure when I'm learning is correct to reach my goals. I think we covered this in the goals, Narendra. But in general, if your why is right, why you are doing that new learning, if that is right, you will not lose the focus, right? Let's say if you picked a new technology or something, just because others are doing it, it's prone that you will lose their interest over a particular. You need to have, when you pick a new technology, there should be an ambition goal that this will help me to achieve my next career goal or next personal goal, or to move to next level, or to move into different role altogether, right? Those should be very clear for you. And always, whenever you're not focusing, you should get back. Oh, I'm not practicing this, but this is tied to this goal for me. If I don't do this, this goal might be delayed by another 5 years, 3 years. Have that, right? And have a tracking sheet which would help you to have those things which you are what you are doing. That will tell you you are practicing or not, you are reaching your goal or not. But have those concrete goals, how you are moving it, right? And measuring is always the tracking sheet where you can measure every day how much. Let's say if there's a goal which you need to do in a week's time, you need to do some career course, for example, small course, for example, Java advanced application, someone has to do it. I've been working for 4 or 5 years. They want to attempt for next within 1 year. Within 1 week, they want to attempt. It's aggressive goal, for example. To attempt it, first you need to get the certification. What are the syllabus, and distribute the syllabus into all this 1 week every day, right? And are you tracking? Are you closing that syllabus? What you prescribed? Are you allocated for that day or not? If you are not doing that, if 20% is skipped, then next day is 120%. If you skip another 20%, next day is much more, right? So tracking those things, get the big goal, cut it down to smaller milestones, and see if where you're tracking or not. Are they overspilling or not? I think that's the way you track it. And if you're too much out of your path, pause there. No need to panic, right? Pause there and see why you have totally diverted. Think reasons. Was there a motivation issue? Was there any issues which did you pick a wrong skill you want to learn because out of other things? And you can change it, right? It's okay. I mean, you can always, no need to stick for goals, right? Always, right? If the goal is not giving you enough motivation or enough goal where you want to go it, you need to change it. Changing a goal is also important. Changing a path is also important. Without course correcting, if you go for next 1 year, 2 years, at the end of 1 year, you will say, why did I spend this 1 year? I should have done this 3 months itself. Within 3 months, I should have known it, right? So talk to them, talk to some other people who want to do it. Okay, and in general, every learning should have this plan, right? Usually I keep this plan always: 3 months, 6 months, 9 months plan. Any big learning. What are my goals for these 3 months? Next 6 months, next 10 months. 369 plan. Usually people say about 369 plan, right? When a person joins new company or anything, 369 plan is implemented by manager to everyone in general. So, okay, these are your 3 months goals. These are 6 months goals. These are 9 months goals, right? And change it. No need to be 3 months. For 1 month, you can say first 1 week, second week, third week, right? Have that. You yourself can track it every day. You need to have that book or tracker, whatever works for you. Track it. But the why you are doing is important. Any point. Okay, I think we'll move on. Okay, let's come back to other questions about how to manage teams, right? How to effectively manage the team. So I'm not sure in which context this has been asked, but there are multiple personas, multiple contexts, right? As a lead or as a manager, how to manage effective team is one way. As a non-lead or manager, as a one of the contributor, one of the team member, how to manage the team is two ways, right? And Kiran, if you can type in under which context you are asking this question, it will help me to give me appropriate guidance there. But in general, before manager, before lead, everybody, more than managers, leads, if there are 10 people who are working, how do you manage each other, right? That is teamwork skills, trusting each other, right? If I don't trust my teammate, there's no way to work, there is no way to collaborate, right? And how does trust build? By talking to each other, by openly having collaborations without having any concerns or anything, right? Spending time with them, whether it's team, whether it's anyone, I think that conversation is important, right? Usually we miss, okay, if I go and talk to this person, what do they think? Will they think that I don't know this? It's okay. As I said, right, no one knows everything. It's okay. Not knowing is okay, but not doing attempt to know it, move forward is not okay, right? That's important. So talk to the team, understand it, and get the rhythm. Once you understand the person, the way they operate, you'll be more. And let's say within the team, each one has their own perceptions, their way of working, their own style of working. It will change a lot, right? Dynamics are more. Coding, compared to design, the dynamics of people are much vast and changing, right? So it's very difficult to understand people, right? First thing is anyone should understand how does this person work altogether. Is a very aggressive person? Is a data oriented person? Is a person who needs everything from ground to starting to end, explain a very detailed plan? Or is this the person who wants quick bullet points one? Or is the person who is very compassionate? Does this person is very empathetic? Understand them, right? Understand their profile or understand. There are ways where people can understand. Okay, before that understanding other person, you need to understand yourself first, right? If you understand yourself first, for example, let's say if I'm leading a team of 10 engineers, each engineer will be different. If I don't understand my own strategy, my own way of working, it will be difficult for others to that, so that I can communicate them. Hey, here is my work style. When I go to team or anyone, initially when I join, I'll say, here is my work style. This is what my standard. This is the way I work, and these are the things which I look forward. Setting those expectations are much important as a manager, as a team member, right? Once you give those clear instructions, people understand that, okay, this is the way Naveen works, this is the way Kiran works. Then having that conversations, then when these two folks come together, they come to a stage where they talk to the similar language, both the places. I think that's what in general. But when it comes to team management, it is vast in general, right? How do you manage team? The management issues from, as a lead, tech lead, a lot of issues are there, right? How do you manage team? As a manager, how do you manage it? But to effectively manage a team, it is always, as a team, are you going towards a single goal or not? Everybody in the team, do they have clarity on what they're working, what they're going, why they are doing it? If that clarity is missing, whomsoever is leading the team, whatsoever is the efforts you put, how much ever is the motivation you give, effectively you can't work on the teams. So first thing is, does the team you are part of and you are leading, do they have enough clarity what they're going? Are they going in right direction? Do they have any confusions or not? And why we are doing it purposefully? And if there are any questions, clarify it. So it is a process altogether. But I think once you have that, and observe, are everyone is coming together or not? Are there any players who are snatching the team's goal or snatching the things outside of it, and praise people in public, give feedback when they're one-to-one, because no one wants to listen anything these things. Right? I think those are management tactics or management skills are there. But I haven't heard back from Kiran on this, but I think that's the way usually people manage teams. Okay, goals. Okay, I think there is another question about. I have a common question. Okay, engineering manager, I see. My current org is pushing and grooming for EM role. Should I put my efforts on the same? Please share your thoughts on the same, right? Yeah, I think this was another question which few of the folks asked. I think I also gave another as an option to individual contributors versus manager contributor. So Pratik, what is your primary, what does motivate you, right? I think that first. Yes, organization is asking for that. As the experience grows, most of the folks want to go to our manager role, which is great. The manager roles are great. They have good contributions. But what does inspire you? Are you does helping others, making others successful, will motivate you or not? Think that way. Let's say so when as a manager, as a lead, you should think more than you. You should think about your team. Your success is not just your success. Your success will come when you enable your team to get successful and supporting them. So if do you have that characteristics in you? Does that passionate you? Helping others, leading teams, conflict management, plus resourcing. I think then depending on those things, you need to focus on things. Are you more interested only in doing your own contributions? Of course, when I say IC, even an IC can be lead, but it doesn't have people management responsibilities. Even IC lead will have their own specific responsibilities around leading the teams, other things, but manager is something totally different. You are not responsible for your own work. You are responsible for a team's success, their work, and if they are successful, you are successful, enabling them to success by coaching, mentoring, guiding them, course correcting them, giving the feedback to them is the characteristic of manager. I mean, it has to think, but think about that. What is your interest? And it both has, I mean, both careers have bright futures, right? There are a lot of ICs demand for ICs. There are a lot of demand for engineering managers, right? And don't choose just because on pay or growth, right? Because at the end of the few years, you will again get frustrated if you're not really interested in engineering manager role, or if you're not interested in IC, right? Choose that. At the same time, as your experience grows, do you have appetite for doing coding? Do you want to do designs by your own, or you want to give your experience and share the experience and let the teams lead those things? Think that way. I think those are important, I would say. So accordingly, you can put your efforts the same, but I think I would say probably your manager or someone can guide you there in general. If you need more clarity or more guidance there, I think direct message me. We can talk more. But I think those are the guidelines which usually anyone who plans to have a doubt between, oh, I'm 8 years experience now. If I go to manager, what will happen? I see what will happen. More than that, what will happen? Whether you want to be in which side of the journey. Think about that. That's more important. And then there will be a lot of issues in both the path, right? A lot of lot of excitement will be there, a lot of curiosity will be there, a lot of things you cherish in both the places. But at the end of the day, which one you want to do is more important. And then within engineering manager, also there are technical engineering managers who does a lot of technical heavy lifting versus people management. There are engineering managers who does only management, but there are architects and leads who are there under that, right? Who will support the manager to do the technical stuff. So both has those things, but decide accordingly, I would say. Okay. Okay, that's good. I think more or less the questions around this are looks like addressed. If any questions, please ping there. If any further questions are there, but I think I'll move to this, right? I think I'll cover this thing, right? Engineering manager IC. Overall, I think I'll give you some of the examples, right? Why folks or why anyone who is senior engineers doesn't think of going from a given company to next company, or doesn't attempt to move into a new role altogether. Even there are opportunities, right? Why, right? So you might be having challenges, all those things, right? But some of the challenges which I think I hear most of the times, are I resonate a lot of times when I think through, is I'm not able to get time. to think about their career, right? And goals. I'm very busy with the work, busy with personal life, all those things, right? That's a common excuse every one of us say at some point. I would have told, even even now, I might be saying at times, I think not having enough time, right? Oh, I have financial commitments, family commitments. How can I manage these learnings? How can I manage this transition? That's another concern, challenge. The other thing is focusing more on next promotion or role without focusing on long-term career is one more concern. People focus on, oh, I need to get promotion next year, so let me focus only that. You get next promotion, that is right or wrong, you don't even know, right? You might be totally different. If you thought advance, you could have shifted to your career into pivot into different direction altogether. The other thing is I'm not confident enough to try new team, new job, new skills, or most of the things. Other thing is easygoing, not in a position to take any challenges, opportunities. I'm very comfortable. Of course, that comfortness is individual different. But I'll touch on one of the time management, right? I think we covered in the time management, but I'll little deep dive more. I think this is what much important. Time is precious for everyone, right? No one gets time, right? Only thing is how do you manage your work, personal, professional, family, doesn't matter. Everybody has their own commitments. List down those commitments. See if what happens if you don't do this today. Is there something going to happen today? Will the sky fall? Will the life will be stopped? Will there be crunch in your family? Will there be crunch in your financial things? Can it wait? Think that way, right? Put all the list of items which you are working every day or you want to work it. See how are they helping you to achieve the next goal, next milestone in your life. It can be small, big, doesn't matter, right? Do that. Once you put that, you'll able to prioritize top 3 or 5 which are important for you. Usually we spend a lot of energy on non-essential work, which doesn't give you at all much. They may give you very 20% of like 20% mileage to us. We spend 80% energy, 80-20. Usually I'll mention this a lot. But reverse that. Family is important, financial thing is important. But are you happy in the current role? If you're happy, no concerns, right? If you're not happy, then that unhappiness will trouble every other place, right? At your family, at your workplace, when you talk to your friends, when you talk to colleagues, it will trouble you, right? So how do you make that thing? By prioritizing, getting the time, extracting it. Wake up early, spend time while you're walking. If you want to read book, right? Spend time. There are audiobooks are there while you're doing some unwanted work or which is laborious work, which is easy for you, right? Put audiobooks, listen for it. How to get time? More essentially, the way I applied very long back is at office, do your work as quick as possible. If some work which I'm doing every day, day in, day out, which is same, automate it. As simple. This automation is more buzzword throughout these years, but automate it, right? So if you need to do some same thing again and again, right? Some of the team members, some of the friends are testers, some of the friends are scripters. I mean, script writing, shell scripting, all this, there are tasks which we do unknowingly, repetitively, same thing, but it take at least 1 hour, 2 hours. Automate those things, or delegate those things to someone else, or postpone those things which are not essential. Figure out the time which is important and prioritize those important things. Time is more important. If you don't get time, you'll never get time. You may be good worker, hard working. Work hard and do the justice for the job, what you're doing, so that you show the impact. I'm not saying I'm not saying to compromise on the work, right? Do the work, you make your impact. That's essential because everybody looks at what is this person doing at the current role to move to next level, right? Do that and make the time. If the work is so busy, you are having so much of work to be done, talk to the manager. They'll be helping you. Hey, I'm having so much of work for last so many months. I'm doing left and right, day in, day out work. How can you help me, please? Can we have new resources? Can you deprioritize some of the things? Please help me. I want to learn some new technology or some things. They'll be able to help. Always we think that if I ask manager, will it impact my perf? Will it impact my pay? No. Talk to your manager. Having those conversations are much important with your manager. The manager will think, why is this person not talking to me? I don't understand what the concerns they're facing. Why is not delivering? Why is not learning skills, right? So both sides will think that why? If no one talks, the bridge will be always gap. It will not be filled, right? So I think explore those things. Plus, there are ways people can guide you, right? See in your team itself, someone who is senior, who is learning things, talk to them. How can I get more time? go for sessions, brainstorming within the office. And a lot of times, I didn't want to say this, but in general, a lot of time we spend a lot of time in gossips in office, right? I mean, I'm not saying spend chit chat with team members, friends. No, that's not the case. I'm saying there are a lot of cases we spend hours and hours in gossips, either at office or outside office, right? See whether that is adding value to you. I don't think so. If not, how can you stop those things? How can you reduce those things and use it for your learnings? Is much important, right? Yeah, I think those things are there. Okay, now when I talked to my manager about the same, but he refused to the solution. One possible solution maybe join another company and compromising my cities. Okay, yeah, I think Gagan, yeah, I think good, right? So there are cases where I took my pay cut. I mean, usually most of my friends doesn't know that. Usually, I took. So it is okay. Pay is not just the only factor which describes your career, right? I think combination of these things, right? So if your passion or if your goal for long-term goal is to learn a new thing, to pursue new career, the current opportunity is not providing it. There is other opportunities which need to be either reduce your position from seniority to next level, lower level, because you are not expert in that. That's the reason they are asking you to come lower level, probably, right? Or they may be offering lower salary because you are not expert in that, right? If that is your passion, if that is your, you want to understand that, learn that, and pursue your career, yes, absolutely, that should be fine, right? Probably you might take the cut down for 1 or 2 years, but the curve at which you will go will be much faster because it is a passion, it is an interesting area, and you have the opportunity. Once you get that skills, it will be fast tracked like anything. And if you stay in the current company, you might not go there in next 5 years. You might go in next 2-3 years. So I think I would suggest yes. Why not? Why not think through that? Yeah. It should be an option, right? Usually as seniority goes to learn new technology. Let's say, I mean, these are the things which I'm going through when I was pivoting my career. I'm very good at technology, designs, leading teams, but I'm not great at business side, talking to business, convincing them, or marketing side, right? I'm not at all good at. So there are things where I was discussing, should I pivot my career from software engineering manager to program manager kind of thing, right? I attended a few interviews there. To be frank, I got 3-4 offers almost 4-5 years back, few of the big companies as well. Of course, the salary was less, the level was less. I was about to take it, but the other roles which came, which had these things, right? So overall, what I'm saying is, yes, whatever it makes sense to pursue that career, short-term loss is okay. If it's adding for you long-term, please pursue it. That should be fine, I think. Okay, we are 3:25. How are you running on the time? Yeah, that's good. Okay, and I think we touched about skill development. We spoke about time management. We spoke about to a certain extent on team management. Any other topics anyone has concerns? I think there are another topic which is interviews, right? I think let's talk about interviews. I think interviews, whether it's a fresher or whether it's fresher or senior, doesn't matter, right? Interviews, how to handle interviews, right? So usually when someone talks to me about interviews, they have multiple folds of different concerns. I'm not getting right company. I'm not getting right job interview. Oh, I'm getting job interviews, but I'm not able to crack it, right? Oh, I'm attempting a lot of interviews, but they're not replying back. Oh, I'm getting a lot of offers, but they're not up to the standard which I'm expecting, right? Multiple combinations, all those things, right? So in general, when someone wants to look for interview job, right? I mean, it's a vast topic altogether, right? It's a vast topic altogether, but in general, there are 4 or 5 bad fundamentals which I always look and suggest in general. 1 minute. Yeah, so primarily the way I suggest anyone who comes to me about interviews is, first be clear with what you want. Some people come to me saying that I'm doing testing role now. What can I do? What can I work? Of course, that's an exercise, right? Be clear where you want to continue as test lead, test engineer, test lead, test manager, or you want to pivot your career to software development, or you want to pivot something else. Be clear on that. So once you clear on that, I think that's what we were talking throughout till now, right? Once you clear that, do your research on your potential next goal or your role, right? How do you go into research? Your LinkedIn, your Naukri, all those things. Search for, okay, let's say a 10 years experience person, tech lead who wants to go to engineering manager position. Search for engineering manager position, what skills they are expecting, what kind of expertise they want, what kind of experience they want, what kind of overall work they are looking for. Get those things. Put a blog yourself, a notes, all these things. Then again, go and check, prepare what kind of companies you want. Target 5 companies which you want to attempt, get those list and research on those companies. Okay, how is the process for this? What kind of questions they ask? Don't just mug the questions, mug up the questions, or just go it. Questions will change, interview, all those things, but understand the fundamentals of a given company. When they recruit an engineer or a professional, what do they look for? Key characteristics, right? For engineer at 5 years, what they look for? For 10 years, what they look for? Engineering manager, what they look for? All those things. All those things. Look for those things. Once you do the research, prepare yourself. How do you attempt those questions? Right? For example, let's say FANG companies, people ask about how do you attempt it. All these companies go through for engineers coding, design, leadership skills, right? So design could change from integration to system design. Coding can go into multiple levels of coding. Before coding, there'll be phone interview, all those things, right? So they look into this, right? And everything they look into is what are you good at, what you project on your resume. As the experience grows, are you good at or not? Let's say if someone 10 years experienced person says, I'm very good at Java, for example, and they clearly say I'm not good at C++, JavaScript, all that, then people expect you should be very good at Java, because if you're projecting yourself 10 years good at Java, do you possess 10 years of experience in Java? Are you good at different Java design patterns? How do you handle security in Java? How do you handle multi-threading in Java? I'm just giving few examples. These need not be same example, but think about those things. How expert you are on those. How did you do a programming in Java for a big project altogether? How many lines of code you wrote? How do you review the code altogether? Right? What kind of lens you apply when you do the code reviews? So 10 years experience. When it comes to 1 year experience person, it changes totally. They don't expect, no one expects to be expert in Java, right? They think, are you good at programming in any language which you choose? Can you write a medium program within a 40-50 minutes or 1 hour time period without much issues? Self-explanatory. Plus, are you good at data structure fundamentals? Which one to use where, how to use this, and rationale behind it, explaining it. I think those things. For everything, why starts. Before answering anything, think about why is this I'm using it? Why this should be used also, right? They expect the rationale behind it. That's about coding. Coding can go into multiple deep dives, all those things, but prepare that. How do you prepare? I think we discussed about practicing coding. Then designs, right? Design will be asked for experienced people, right? 3 plays, 4 plays kind of thing, because the expectation is that someone who worked on 3 years, 4 years, expecting that they would have worked with multiple projects where they just didn't only write the code, they would have understood the designs, how the system work in itself altogether, how the integrations work altogether. Because a code alone will not be sufficient good enough to take it to production, put in front of users, right? It needs a lot of things, other things, right? It needs security, it needs to be worked every time. It should be multiple architectures, patterns are there, 3-tier architecture, 1-tier architecture, 2-tier architecture, or is it asynchronous or synchronous? There are a lot of things. I think I'm not trying to go into technology aspects, that can be separate discussions altogether. But once you identify which role, what technology they're looking at, deep dive into those things. Try to practice those things, get your expertise those things. Does your previous profile, your experience, does the match or not? If it doesn't match, it becomes more difficult. You need to have more time to practice and try to get, can you explain your previous projects in terms of these patterns? There are always patterns, we'll miss it. We always miss it. So those are designs, right? Then leadership skills is one of the key things, which is simple thing for anyone is this person can work in teams or not? Is a team player or not? Or this person is an individual contributor or not? So can he work with others, or can he bring everyone down or not? Under stress situations, how does this person work altogether? Will he just go mad? Will he be calm and cool while he may not lead the teams, but he'll not say anything? He'll just pass the information to someone and wait for things. Or whether this person is initiator or not, whether he needs always push from manager, push from other things. So depending context to context will change, right? So there, people expect to give you some examples around under certain scenario when the situation happened, I handled this way, and I was appreciated for this, right? So I can say always I'm a very great leader. I'm a very great person. I can manage stress very easily. Statement is not enough. Justify the statement with examples, how you did it, what impact it did it at that moment. I think those are things which people look into it primarily. So there is nothing right or wrong answer there. It is, are you able to think through or not? Are you just blank? When the question is asked, you are just stuck without moving forward, or there is signals usually. I think these are very high level topics. But yeah, I think that's the way usually everyone should prepare for interviews. And it's a long process. How do you prepare? Once you get the time, these things, let your friends know that, hey, I'm looking out for change. Let me know if you have any other things. Don't just ask people, hey, I'm looking out, can you help me? It doesn't help, because the person should know what you're looking at, what skills you possess, by when you are looking. Provide that information so that the person can help you in a better way. People approach me blank statements that I'm looking for change, can help. I'll always ask that, okay, what are your skills? Why are you looking for change? What made you to change? In the first place, what kind of companies you're looking at, what kind of roles you're looking at. If you do that analysis and come back to other people to help, I think there are enough people to help. I think not only that, you yourself will help by looking at the Google, LinkedIn, other things. There are mentors who can help, but it's much easier if you do this hard work. Your work will be, your life will be much easier when you do this hard work upfront. Otherwise, what happens is you attempt, you'll fail, you'll attempt, you'll fail, then you'll get frustration, you'll stop it. That's more riskier than doing this, right? Then if you move on there, right, a lot of folks say, I'm getting interviews, but I'm not cracking it. So when, as I said, take top 5 companies where you want to go. It could be not only fan companies, right? You have your own companies in your area of domain, all this, right? Target companies which you want to work. Finalize. Don't attempt those companies in the initial preparation days at all. Attempt other companies as a practice, mock interviews kind of thing. Every interview, come back and note down what you did well, what you didn't do well, as a notebook, as a diary, right? Oh, they asked this coding question. I did this way. Oh, I should have done this way. This is the approach I should have done it. I spent this much time. Ideally, I should have spent only this much time. Oh, I didn't know the answer. I just gave the wrong answer. I should study more this thing. So I have that log of interviews, checklist or log, which will help you to improve every interview when you move forward. And that will help you to focus again on what are the different things to look into it. When you're analyzing companies, when analyzing jobs, what kind of things you look into it, all those things. I think that's it, right? And I think one of the prerequisites basic was, oh, I'm applying a lot of companies, I'm not getting calls. How is your profile looks altogether? Is your resume up to date? Does the resume talk about your skills? Everyone says, I worked on this project, I worked in this company. It doesn't help. Working, everyone does, right? What is that you had contributed to the project? How did you enable the project? What contributions you made to the project which helped to move fast tracking to good quality or to avoid some catastrophe in the future which happened? How did your contributions help the project or help the organizations? Those should be summary of the resume or LinkedIn profiles. Usually everyone writes, I'm a team lead. So what? Yes, there are a lot of team leads, but what is the specific things about you? How you are enabling your team by leading it? What kind of leadership you're doing it? How you're enabling them? What kind of issues you're avoiding it? Think about these things. Impact all those things. You need to think through that and put them in the resume. And skills also, right? Don't write all skills which are required. Tailor your resume for the job which you're applying. Right? Let's say if you're applying for a cloud, right? If you put all that cloud is about coding, design, if there's no cloud, or how you want to move to cloud, how does your skills enable them in the cloud? It doesn't help. For example, if someone wants to move security engineering, right? If there's nothing about tech security at all in your work or your training, it doesn't help. So you should always tailor your resume to certain extent, to great extent, to them, which portion you are applying it. But your LinkedIn profile should talk generic, what skills you bring, what capabilities you bring. If as an organization, if I, as a manager, if I recruit you, what value you add to the team? What can you bring onto the table? It's exchange, right? A company is not paying us money free. We are not doing a free service, right? It's exchange of services. When exchange of services, always people look for what value does the company provides. As individual, you think about it. As a company thinks about what value does this candidate bring to the table. So don't think we are going for they are giving us something. Companies are not giving us any free money, right? So be confident, prepare well, and do your basic groundwork. Then I think confidence will make you more attempt in a structured way. I think it's a planning. I think it has its own framework. which is too much, too detailed, all those things. I mean, that is a different topic altogether. But I think this is the high level which I would recommend. I think there are questions around. Okay. Okay. What will the cloud future 10 years from now? What is the trending technology other than cloud and AI, right? So, I mean, I'm not, to be frank, I'm not a futuristic person who can predict future, but the experience what I have till today, 17 years experience with the everyday insights which I try to do insights around by looking at the news plus talking to my leadership. I mean, I do my own work, right, to get my insights every day. Cloud has massive future going forward, right? I think the reason I'm saying cloud has massive future is startups are coming. Startups needs fast turn up, right? The startup world has increased in the India for last uh, 5 years or so, right? And there are a lot of new innovative solutions are coming. Softwares are coming, products are coming, startups are evolving. Not only in software industry, right? Health sector, education sector, or security sector. I think all these sectors are evolving to get into startup mode, right? I think government is encouraging, especially in India, also the world, also all the organizations are encouraging people to think entrepreneurial mindset, right? So while the entrepreneurial shift is increasing, people need infrastructure to get their product out quickly into the market, right? So to get the quickly into the market, as an entrepreneur, I need to think about my product only, right? I should not worry about how can I deploy, how can I infrastructure make it, how can I security take it. Those should not be concern as entrepreneur for me. Concern is how can I get this product to the end user quickly and give the benefit, and I can gain from profitability, right? That's the thing. So having said that, cloud is the go-to thing for going forward for all these things, right? No one wants to invest on their infrastructure, right? This is for startups, medium, small, any sector. And there are a lot of big players who are there from years and years, right? 20 years plus 30 years in the industry, who has their own infrastructure, data centers. And there also, they are focusing towards cloud, right? I'll give one or two examples why they're focusing. Not everybody, but slowly they're moving. Earlier, let's say if I got laptop, let's say I have Mac laptop, which is somewhere 2013 version, it has its own expiry. After 5 years or 10 years, it will expire. There will not be enough support for software, Mac or hardware, right? It has to be refurbished. Then once I get the new one, I need to again do installation if I need to do it. So apply the same analogy for your infrastructure, your Linux machines, Windows machines, your network cables, your anything, whatever you think, right? Which is required for data center, right? Your cooling systems, all those things, right? If a company has to manage it, that version has to be expired in some years, then they need to again invest on that, right? So its maintenance cost is too much. Investment is too much, plus maintenance is too much, right? And the companies are moving towards, should we manage this expertise and experience and burden going forward, or should we use out of the box availability which providers are providing, or should we take it? So I'll give you a layman terminology, right? We have power, right? Comes to everyone's home, power, right? Power comes from different providers, right? Telangana State Power Supply Board, AP Telangana, AP Power Supply Board, all that. Ramagundam, multiple power supplies are there, right? Can we build it? There are big companies. Are they looking to build again generate power? No, right? Because there's power already there. I'll pay what I use. My purpose is solved. I can move faster. So having said that, yes, there is a good amount of cloud future. I think it started, but it didn't even reach to its middle. It is much higher. So who are the big players in cloud, right? AWS, Microsoft, Google, IBM is there. Multiple companies are there overall, right? And choose if you want to build your technology cloud future. What are you good? Are you engineer? You want to move into architect? Their certification programs are there, right? Are you a cloud lead who is leading the projects? There are other programs are there. Are you a security expert? You want to go to cloud security, or DevOps expert? You want to move to DevOps. So yes, cloud has things, but be specific where you want to target. Right? If you just generic cloud, it doesn't help you. And as the experience grows more, skill set specialty is more important. Domain, what you specialize. Because generic engineers, general knowledge engineers, generic engineers will get with less experience, right? But as you're senior, what is your expertise? What kind of teams you can lead? either leadership, people management, or engineering, technology standpoint, all those things, right? Yeah, I think that's one thing. What is the trending technology other than cloud or AI, right? So cloud AI, I think we hear buzzwords around that, right? More than that, always development is there, right? Coding, designs, right? Are there. The other technologies which are coming around, blockchain, people talk about it, and it has its own significance on certain areas around banking domain where all the data which goes has to be sanit. It should maintain its versioning, plus it should maintain its source, all those things, plus retail. But health sector is one of the things, right? Blockchain is one aspect. Cloud is and security is one of the other thing, right? Which is more and more concern as we speak, right? There was a overall security vulnerability issue happened. Hacker did it for Uber, right? Recently, it was news everywhere. Security is always a concern, right? As an individual, privacy and security is a concern for each one of us, whether we use phone, whether we use laptop, whether we use watch, smartwatch, whether we use television, doesn't matter, right? And now the IoT is being increasing, right? Even the IoT technology has more scope, because everything within, earlier we used to have hardly one laptop or one device. Now, one person has more than one device, one laptop, a personal laptop, professional laptop, multiple phones, multiple TVs, all of them are connected internally, and smart cities are coming, smart devices are coming. So it has cloud technology, cloud plus IoT plus security is another aspect. How do we make sure all those things? So a lot of things. I think there is no trends are going a lot, but what does passionate you, right? Look for trends. Can you make your career for next 10 years in that? What kind of roles can be there? All those things you need to explore that. Okay, hope that answers your question, Ram Babu. And of course, now 5G is trending, right? There is always everywhere it's 5G, 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 right? And Web 3.0 is happening, right? As you speak, earlier we have Web 1, Web 2, Web 3. Its pattern itself is totally different. The way it operates. Once Web 3 comes, a lot of things will change, right? And 5G will change drastically the way we experience videos, the way we experience this kind of streaming sessions. So 5G has good amount of scope. It just revolutionizes a lot of things, right? So keep learning, keep focus on what trends are coming, all those things. Start exploring those things. Yeah. What's the time frame that you suggest for AWS solution architect certification? Is it professional? Okay. Or associate? So I think it's not about timeline, Hemant. It is your expertise, right? There are folks who I know, my friends, some of them are my friends, some of them are I interviewed long back. People finish certification. Certification is not the goal for us, right? Having certification is not important. So certification is not the key goal, right? It's your learnings. I think these days we get dumps for every certification. So be it when I did Oracle certified, I don't developer certificate OCA long back in 2007. There we had dumps. Even now AWS professional certificate. Every certification you take, you'll get dumps. A lot of folks try to get certification by using dumps with knowledge as well, combination of both. But I would say how much knowledge you're gaining, even if it's take 1 year, 2 years, doesn't matter. Of course, if you're in urgency to get job in that area, fast track it. Use combination, but don't just rely on dumps. I would suggest not even go to dumps, right? Their practice papers will be given by AWS, FAQs given by AWS in general. AWS provides best practices documentations. AWS itself has so much information. If you go through it thoroughly, practice it, doing experimentation, it will give you. So if someone who's already working in cloud, AWS, if they have worked on 2-3 projects for 1 year, I would say another 1 year would be sufficient good enough. If someone didn't work for any projects, it will take at least 1.5 to 2 years if you practice. Without practice, also you can crack in 6 months. But when someone goes and runs the interview, it will be more visible, right? Because when you say I'm an AWS certificate architect, definitely ask him that, okay, how do you do this? Tell me network topology. Tell me about security around this. Tell me about Kubernetes. How do you deploy in Kubernetes in this? Tell me about Redis. How you used it. Tell me about so you'll talk those terminology, because interviewers also come prepared based on your resume, all those things, right? So balance those things. I think 2 years would be enough if you haven't worked on it. If you're already working on projects which are AWS, you're getting more exposure. target for 1 year, ideally. Okay, we are 3:45. Okay, I'll just check if there are any topics which I haven't covered in general. Let me know if any topic which we haven't covered, if I missed anyone in the questions. But yeah, where is this one? Forms. Yeah. Okay, interview is called skill development, IC version. Okay, I think we more or less all the topics. Okay, any other questions anyone has? Yeah, I think I'm done from my side. If anyone has any questions, we can take another last 10 minutes. Otherwise, we will close this session for today. I'll be doing further sessions on deep diving on this. And this is a highlight session where I think it's we covered a lot of other topics, but there are plans to do deep dive on how to attempt architect, plus how to go from IC to manager, how to design, how to do specific interviews, how to handle these interviews, kind of thing. But these days, there is information is vast available, right? But only thing is you need to check what information can give you right information and filter that out and learn it. All those things, right? I'll be doing upcoming in 1 month or 2 months. I'll be doing a webinar with frameworks for a specific topics altogether. I'll be publishing those things, but yeah, hope this. Okay, some question I think. Okay, so is here. Okay, I think there is a question from Naresh on next 10 years, right? Yeah, I think testing, right? Yeah, testing is always crucial for at any point of time, right? But given the situation where we are, given the automation plus engineers having test frameworks, manual testing in certain areas will be slowly diminishing, right? There will be much focus, but testing has multiple different personas, right? One is you're doing a performance testing, right? Not everything can be automated in performance testing. One is you're doing UX testing. Does the UX is right in every way? Is it very intuitive kind of thing? Plus the functional testing is there, right? So testing plays crucial role, but as engineers are upskilling their skills every day, given earlier we used to have old languages, right? First scripting languages, then C, C++, of course, back when of language C only. Then OOPS languages came to the picture. Then non-OOPS languages came to the picture. Functional languages came to the picture. Python. So as technology is evolving, the shift will change because the new technology will bring advantages, right? So even in testing also, a test engineer should always look for what are the trends in testing. Manual testing has its own scope in IoT kind of things where manufacturing devices are there, or where a lot of automation can't be done because of a number of reasons. Certain cases where security can be concerned. Other cases where how do we automate it? What kind of technology trends are going? So always look for eye on that. And if someone looks for it, there's always testing, right? Big companies also has testing capabilities. Every company, right? Every project, which every service which comes from AWS, Google, it goes through a lot of testing. Some amount of manual testing, some amount of automation testing, some amount of regression testing through tools, through non-tools. So testing is always having a critical part of SDL's life cycle, right? Testing is always there. But what kind of frameworks we're using will evolve as similar to the other roles, right? So always keep up those things. And a test engineer is also engineer, right? He's an engineer. You should have basics like coding. You should be writing it. Might not be as expert as an engineer who is worked for 10 years, but you should be able to understand the code and come out of some issues from there and write the code for your testing, right? So, for example, you are given some small code to do testing for it. Let's say engineer is not available for you to explain anything. Can you understand the code in the first place? Basic code. Then ask right question to them. So having that coding skills or learning skills or basic skills are must. Doesn't matter whether testing engineer or not. Then on top of that, shift your focus towards latest technologies and testing, right? And there are frameworks which, for example, for test engineers, right, there is RPA, robotic process automation. It's more or less testing, but you're automating the process using robotic processes, right? Manual testing kind of thing. Similarly, you have other frameworks to do it. So upskill yourself to testing. Always it will improve, and testing will always play. And given this fast pace which is going, testing, and for example, security, right? Everything around security can't be tested using tools which are there at the market. Because if you don't know the issue, what is there, what we might enter into the what some issue might be there in security, how can you build tools for it to test it? So security, while tools are there, a lot of testing happens through manual testing only. Can the pen testing will happen? Is the website is so secure enough? Is someone is intruding to the website or not? Is someone is hacking the data from that or not? Tools are there, yes. But along with the tools, manual testing, manual verification will be always happening there. So there's always scope. Only thing is the shift has to be there. Hope that helps, Naresh. Okay. Yeah, I think we are another 8 minutes and 9 minutes short. I'm just checking all these things. Cool. I think more or less we are done. I'll wait for another 1 or 2 minutes. If any other questions or anything anyone wants to understand, touch base, any deep dive topic for next 5-10 minutes, we can do that. Did I miss anyone? What is? Okay. Yeah, I think good. We are done. There are no other questions from anyone. I think we are closing a little early, but that's okay. I think we covered more or less all the topics which I want to cover. I really appreciate everyone taking time, and it is good to see people asking questions. Hope it was helpful and it can help you some way. Okay, someone had some question. How can we work on AWS projects as part of upskilling outside of work? Okay. So AWS projects outside of work, how can you work on that? I'll give an example how to work, right? For example, you want to build a mobile application, right? If you don't use AWS, how do you deploy mobile application? Let's say you built mobile UI backend database is there, mobile application is there. Now you build Android application, right? APK, for example, right? But to deploy the server without AWS, where do you deploy? Let's say you're using AWS. Now AWS comes to the picture to deploy that. You might do as a part of just the infrastructure, or you might think, okay, can I use functions, lambdas also, right? You start that way. So pick an application which can be worked on your laptop, mobile application or a website application or anything. You can think of anything, right? First work on this, then think about if I need to deploy on AWS, how can I deploy it? Then once you start putting those things, that itself is a project which everybody does in the office also, right? In companies also, right? And when it comes to AWS, all those things, then much other things will come into the picture. Okay, it's on my laptop, it's only one machine, one user. But when I go to multiple machines, how do I do it? How can I make this code available in multiple things, but at the end serve the end users? Then that means you're going from one single server to multiple servers. How does AWS provide those options? How does AWS do load balancing? So you need to start thinking from basic to production version. When you're doing this journey, you'll have all the questions. For each question, you need to ask, oh, if AWS is not there, how does people do it? If I need to do it manually, what will it mean? So then AWS, how it's doing, then learn it, all those things, right? So that's the way you'll upskill your AWS, all those things. Not only AWS, anything, right? Basics are fundamentally same. Without anything, how can I do it? How does this other tool or framework is providing me helpful information or these things? How it's providing me? You'll apply those things. So it's a path. So it takes certain time. Thing is, you should not be in a hurry. You should not be in a rush to close it. You should be in a hurry to do it, but you should be at a pace where your mind takes the information, process it, and analyze it, and takes the next steps. If you're in a rush to do, you'll miss the basics, and then you need to revisit again. It doesn't help you. So always that analysis mind has to be there. Balance the speed versus all these things, I would say. Cool. Thank you. Okay, I think 1 hour 55 minutes. I'll share the feedback form. Feel free to submit that if you have any feedback, anything, any topics to cover. I'll share after some time, after tomorrow also. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate everyone. Hope this is informative session. We'll be doing more such sessions. If there's any topics which you need to be deep dive more, let me know. Message me or anything. But thank you so much. Have a great weekend. See you in the next LinkedIn post or message or this kind of call. Talk to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.